Hello everyone. Now I'll discuss about the parotid gland. In this section I will be explaining its location, gross features, relations and secreto motor pathway and applied anatomy. Okay. So coming to this salivary glands. Okay. There are mainly three major salivary glands that are the parotid, submandibular and sublingual. Okay. This salivary gland secretes saliva that is into the oral cavity. It's a combination of this serous and mucus. Okay, and also it provides mucosal lubrication. Salivary electrolytes, antibacterial, and various enzymes there to protect the oral mucosa and teeth surface. Okay, so the salivary gland mainly consists of two types of cells, that is the serous cells and mucous cells. The serous cell secretes a watery type secretion, and mucous cells secretes a sticky type secretions. Okay. Then its location of the salivary gland. See the term meaning signifies, that is the parotid salivary gland. Para means around, otic means ear, around this ear. Okay. Then also here you can see in the first figure, this is the ramus of the mandible. See, this is the mastoid process. See, here you can see superiorly here the opening is there, that is the external acoustic meatus. Okay, so this is the zygomatic arch. Okay, then here inferiorly we'll get one muscle. See, this is the sternocleidomastoid. Deep to that here we'll get the posterior belly of digastric. So that region is marked with red, that is the parotid region. There you can see the parotid gland and this lymph nodes, mainly parotid lymph nodes. Okay, so anterior boundary is this ramus of the mandible. Then posteriorly this one, that is the mastoid process. Superiorly you can see that is the external acoustic meatus. Okay. Inferiorly this is the sternocleidomastoid and the posterior belly of digastric. Then this figure also you can see this is the parotid gland. This is the inferior aspect. See, this is the superior aspect, this is the anterior, this is the posterior of the gland, this is the lateral surface. See, the part of the mandible is cut here. You can see one muscle here, this is the masseter. See, this is the sternocleidomastoid. Here you will get one muscle, this is the posterior belly of the digastric. Okay, so the weight of this gland, its average is 25 grams. Okay, then here you can see this the shape of this gland. See, it's in the form of an inverted pyramid. See the shape, it's like an inverted pyramid. Okay, see, this is the posterior aspect, this is the anterior aspect. Posterior sternocleidomastoid. See, this is sternocleidomastoid posteriorly. See this muscle, this is the masseter. See, this is the masseter here. So this is the anterior aspect. Okay, then this coverings of this gland. Okay, actually this capsule, parotid capsule, okay, it's the thickening of this connective tissue of this gland. Exteriorly it thickens and forms this parotid capsule, that is the true capsule. Now also there is a deep fascia, connective tissue, deep fascia of this neck, fascia of this neck forms the false capsule. Okay, so that's about the coverings of the gland. Here you can see this is the capsule, parotid capsule. Then coming to its gross features, okay, this is the apex. This pointed part is the apex. This part is the base. Apex downwards, pointed part, base. This is the anterior border. See, this is the posterior border. The surface we are seeing here, this one is faced laterally and forms this is the lateral surface. Okay, then relations of this apex. See, you can see the nerve there. Here yellow, that is the cervical branch of the facial nerve. Then in here you can see this vein, this is the retromandibular vein. It has two divisions, anterior and posterior divisions. Okay, anterior division and posterior divisions of this retromandibular vein can see also in relates to this apex. Okay, then that's about the apex and its relations. Then here same only, this part is the So here you can see this part is, this is the apex. Okay, so here you can see external vein. Here you can see this is the facial vein, this is the common facial vein, and here you'll get the internal jugular vein. Okay, then next is the base. See, this part is the base. Okay, it relates to mainly three structures. Okay, those are the, see, these are the three structures related. That is the yellow color, that is the auricular temporal nerve. These vessels, artery and vein, are the superficial temporal vessels, superficial temporal artery and superficial temporal vein, that forms the relations over this base. Okay, then in this figure you can see this, the relations of the anterior and posterior border. See, this is the anterior border. Okay, see, there you can see the duct of this gland, parotid gland, that is the parotid duct in green color. Then yellow color, those are the terminal branches of the facial nerve. In relates to the anterior border, you can see this is the zygomatic, this is the upper buccal, lower buccal, marginal mandibular, and this is the cervical branch of the facial nerve. These are the terminal branches of the facial nerve. Facial nerve is the cranial nerve. Okay, then posteriorly, see, in the posterior border you can see there is the posterior auricular nerve, this branch of the facial nerve. Then this is the posterior auricular artery, that is a branch of the external carotid artery. Okay, that's about the anterior and posterior relations. Okay, see, here you can see this, here this is the lateral surface. See, this is the lateral surface. Okay, that is the skin will be there, superficial fascia. Okay, then capsule, then the lymph nodes, superficial lymph nodes also there, in relates to this lateral surface. This figure, see, this is the lateral surface. Okay, actually platysma is the superficial muscle of the neck. Okay, then next is the Andromeda surface relations. See, this is the transverse section through this parotid gland. This is the vertical, this is the transverse. So this is the transverse section. Okay, then see, this is the lateral aspect, that is towards anteriorly. This is the medial, towards posteriorly. This is superior, this is inferior. See, the superior aspect, you can see this bony part, that is the ramus of the mandible. Two muscles attached there, that is the medial pterygoid, and this is the masseter, medial pterygoid and masseter. See, this is the inferior aspect, you can see this bony part, that is the mastoid process. Two muscles attached over there, that is the sternocleidomastoid. Here you can see that is the posterior belly of the digastric. Okay, then see, this is the medial aspect. Here you can see this is the superior constrictor muscle, wall of the pharynx comes here, you will get the pharynx. Okay, superior constrictor. See, this is the lateral aspect, lateral surface. Okay, marked with one red color, this is the posteromedial surface. So that is the andromedial surface. Okay, their relations are the, this ramus of the mandible, you can see here, this is the ramus of the mandible. Then muscles are the masseter, and this one, that is the medial pterygoid. Then here it's also, this is the transverse section, this is the transverse section, where you can see this is the superior constrictor, this is the medial aspect, this is the lateral, superior, inferior. See, this is the wall of the pharynx, that is towards medial, lateral, this is superior, here this is inferior. Okay, here in the inferior aspect you can see here, this is the mastoid process, then muscles attached, this is the posterior belly of digastric, this is the sternocleidomastoid, and also here you can see there is the styloid process and muscles attached here over the styloid process. Okay, so this is the posteromedial surface. So this is the lateral surface, this is the posteromedial surface, this is the andromedial surface of this parotid gland. Okay, and also here you can see this is actually the, this figure, this is the medial border, medial border. Okay, this one is the medial border. So that's about the surfaces and borders and its relations. So medial border, see this, I told this is the medial border. It also relates to this wall of the pharynx. Okay, wall of the pharynx. Okay, so this is the posteromedial surface. Okay, this one is the Andromeda surface, lateral surface. Okay. Then next is the structures passing through the parotid gland. Okay, so these structures are sandwiched between this parotid gland. Okay, so from, see this is a parotid gland. Okay, from lateral to medial. Okay, this is the lateral aspect, this is the medial aspect. Medial most one structure, that is the external carotid artery. Intermediate will get the retromandibular vein. Then lateral most will get the facial nerve. Okay, so lateral most will get the facial nerve there. Intermediate will get the retromandibular vein. Okay, medial most will get the artery, external carotid artery, and its the branches. See here, first we'll see this artery. This is the external carotid artery. Okay, its branches here, this is the posterior auricular branch. Here this is terminal branches at the maxillary, and this is the superficial temporal. This transverse facial is one of the branches of the superficial temporal. Okay, then see the veins. See, this is a superficial temporal vein, transverse facial vein, maxillary vein, joins to form here. This is the retromandibular vein. It has two divisions, anterior and posterior. See, the anterior joins with facial vein, this is the facial vein, and forms this common facial vein. Posterior division joins with the posterior auricular vein and forms this external jugular vein. Finally drains into the subclavian vein. Okay, so there will be the venous vein, superficial temporal vein, maxillary vein, joins to form the retromandibular vein. It has two divisions, anterior and posterior. This anterior division joins with the facial vein, forms a common facial vein. Then posterior division joins with the posterior auricular vein. This posterior auricular forms this one, that is the external jugular vein. Finally drains into this subclavian vein. Okay. Then here you can see this is the facial nerve. It's a cranial nerve. It's from the cranial cavity. It comes out to one foramen, that is exit through the stylomastoid foramen. You can see in the base of the skull. Okay, then it passes through the posteromedial, andromedial surfaces and all. Then it terminates, it comes out, okay, as through this anterior border as temporal, zygomatic, upper buccal, lower buccal, then this marginal mandibular, then cervical branch. These are the, through this, okay, the muscles of this face gets its supply, motor supply to the face. Okay, that is to the facial muscles, motor supply to the facial muscles. So this branches of the facial nerve, terminal branches of the facial nerve, you can see here through the anterior border. This is temporal, zygomatic, upper buccal, lower buccal, marginal mandibular. This is the cervical. Okay. Relates to this corresponding areas. Okay. So that's about the structures passing through the parotid gland. Next is the duct. Here you can see this is the parotid duct. It's also called the Stensen's duct. Okay, see this is the apex, base, anterior border, posterior border. This surface is the lateral surface. See, from the anterior border, okay, this duct is coming. Okay, smaller ducts joins to form main ducts. Okay, vertical ducts that joins to form this main parotid duct. Okay, that is Stensen's duct. Okay, see it over this muscle, over this forwards through this muscle, that is the masseter. Okay, this muscle is the masseter. Okay, then it passes downwards and medially. See, it bends downwards and medially. Okay, then here we'll get the cheek. Okay, so it pierces the buccal fat. Okay, buccal fat. Then pierces one muscle there, that is the buccinator. Then pierce the mucous membrane of the cheek, this mucous membrane. See, this is the vestibule. Okay, then it opens into the vestibule of the mouth. This area is the vestibule of the mouth. Here you can see the last this one tooth are the, this is the, these teeth are the, this is the first, second and last terminal, last one, that is the third molar teeth. Okay, so it opens at the level of the upper second molar teeth. You can see the opening. Okay, to the opposite of the upper second molar teeth. So parotid duct opens into where? It's towards vestibule of the mouth at the level of the, at the level opposite to the upper second molar teeth. Here this is the arterial supply and the venous drainage, blood supply. Artery supplies through the branches of this external carotid artery. Venous drainage finally into this common facial vein, into the external jugular vein. They finally drains into the subclavian vein. Then here you can see this is the nerve supply. Nerve supply is important actually. It's through sensory, sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sensory is through this auriculotemporal nerve. Okay, a branch of the facial nerve. Then sympathetic and parasympathetic. Okay, parasympathetic, that is the secretomotor pathway. Stimulation of this parasympathetic, okay, produces the watery type secretion. Stimulation of the sympathetic produces the mucus rich secretion. Okay. Then here in this figure you can see the secretomotor pathway. Okay, see here, this is the, you can see this is the part of the tongue. This is the anterior aspect, this is the posterior. Okay, here we'll get, here this is the parotid gland. Okay, this is superior, inferior. See here you can see this one, this is the inferior salivatory nucleus, that is from the medulla. Okay, medulla of the brainstem. Okay, so midbrain, pons and medulla. Okay, these are the parts of the brainstem. Okay, brainstem, that is in the cranial cavity. Nuclei means collection of the cell bodies of neurons. Inside the central nervous system is called a nuclei. The outside it is called the ganglia. Okay, so here you can see inferior salivatory nucleus. Okay, so fibers from there. Okay, that is from the cranial cavity. Then it comes out along with this glossopharyngeal nerve. Okay, through the jugular foramen. So it comes out through this foramen. Okay. Then from there, it's this is the tympanic branch of this one, that is the glossopharyngeal nerve. It forms a plexus. This is the tympanic plexus. From there comes the one nerve here. This is the lesser petrosal nerve. It synapses with this ganglion, that is the otic ganglion, that is actually the parasympathetic ganglion. From there, postganglionic fibers along with the nerve, that is auriculotemporal nerve. Okay, then goes to this parotid, that is the secretomotor pathway, the parasympathetic pathway. Okay, so stimulation produces watery type secretion. Here you can see this is the sympathetic. Here you can see, here this is the common carotid artery. This is the this one is the external carotid, internal carotid. Plexus, okay, nerve plexus forms around this common carotid, internal carotid and external carotid. From there, this fibers through this auriculotemporal nerve, then reaches this gland. So it's actually the vasomotor supply. So constriction of this one, okay, vasomotor supply, and this one stimulation produces the mucus rich secretions. Okay. Here this is the lymphatic drainage. Here you can see this is the superficial and deep lymph nodes, parotid lymph nodes. Okay. So lymphatic drainage into the parotid lymph nodes. Then coming to this some applied aspects, this inflammation of this one parotid gland can occur, okay, which usually it is very painful because of this capsule, okay, is very adherent to this closely attached to this parotid gland. Okay, that's why inflammations become very painful. Okay, then parotid abscess there. Okay, then tumor, parotid tumor means at that time surgeon can remove this part of this parotid gland easily with the help of this facial nerve. So facial nerve is studded between this superficial and deep surface of this parotid gland. Okay, that means with the help of this facial nerve, okay, part above forms this superficial part and part below forms the deep part of this parotid gland. So one surgeon can easily remove that corresponding part. Then Frey syndrome, actually the surgical during surgery, if it causes damage to the auriculotemporal nerve, okay, that times when we eat or swallows food, the skin over the parotid gland, okay, flushes, okay, and sweating appears over that region. The condition is called the Frey syndrome. It is actually very rare. That's all about the parotid gland. Okay. Then actually the parotid gland, it is important. Okay, one of the long essays. Okay, so you should write answer for this. Okay, mention its location with the help of the diagram, its gross features and relations. That also you should do the diagrams, and again you have to explain. Then Stenson's duct can also ask for short note. Parotid duct, its blood supply, arterial supply, venous drainage. Then secretomotor pathway, that is the parasympathetic pathway. Then the applied anatomy. Okay, find out some more applied aspects. Okay, then you can add. Thank you.